Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Virtuosos. It's Damon here. Now, on this podcast, Drake Maye has been having an amazing season. Y'all know I'm a Patriots fan. I haven't really spoke on the season. Mainly it's not over yet. I really want to speak on it to the end of the season. But I figured it's about time we just talk about it, the regular season, and why I think he's the MVP of the league. Now, if you're a guy, a Rams fan, or somebody that thinks Matthew Stafford should win it, I advise you to watch this video. I'm going to also bring up points as to why Stafford could win MVP, or in your opinion should win MVP. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Obviously, I am biased, so I'm going to tell you that right now. I just told you I'm a Patriots fan. I'm going to try to persuade you, if you had a vote, as to why Drake Maye should win MVP. All right. First of all, I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about. I don't even need my phone for this point. The MVP is a quarterback award, and it is narrative based. All right. So wins is not a quarterback stat, but in the MVP race, it basically is. Number two, usually quarterbacks that are on one of the top seed teams in the NFL win the award. Not having a home playoff game, but winning an MVP award. I don't know when the last time that's been done. Stafford's 5th seed, Drake Maye's 2nd seed. Just throwing that out there. You see what I'm saying? Like, you see, I'm just going off of historic everything. Number 3, Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. And his passing and rushing stats have been accumulated into his total yards and total touchdowns, stuff like that. Why are we not talking about Drake Maye's rushing yards and rushing touchdowns? It's not crazy, but compared to Stafford's, it looks like Lamar Jackson versus me. So when Drake Maye is rushing for over 500 more yards, or over 450 more yards than Matthew Stafford, and having 5 times the touchdowns he has rushing the ball, you feel what I'm saying? Like, so that's a whole nother element. But without further ado, now we go ahead and talk about it. So with Drake Maye, all right, what I've seen this year, second year jump, obviously, my number one thing is that if you're going to sit here and argue with me MVP, Stafford versus Maye, and you say Matthew Stafford has more passing yards and a better touchdown-interception ratio, right? I didn't ask you to name me the third thing that you have over Stafford have over Maye. And that's when the narratives come in, and like I just said, it's a narrative-based award. So the narratives against Drake Maye this year is that strength of schedule. The Drake Maye and Matthew Stafford has played common opponents. They played the Atlanta Falcons, the Baltimore Ravens, the Carolina Panthers, the Saints, Bucks, and Tennessee Titans. All right. Drake Maye went 6-0. And Matthew Stafford. First of all, let me say this. All right. The strength of schedule thing. Let's go ahead and nip this in the bud early. There is 2 teams in the NFL right now, the Saints and the Falcons, that would have made the playoffs, hosted a playoff game if they beat the Jets. So strength of schedule to me, when people say, oh, y'all have had an easy schedule. Oh, Drake Maye can't win it because it's a strength of schedule. There is 2 teams right now that are not hosting playoff games because they couldn't beat the New York Jets. Good teams take care of business. And the Patriots did that all year. So you're not going to hit me with that strength of schedule thing because just last year, we were the teams that the good teams were beating up on. So I'm not hearing that shit. I'm sorry. The strength of schedule thing, we're also going to talk about that. But again, they play 6 common opponents. Drake Maye is 6-0. Okay? I'm going to name the teams again. The Atlanta Falcons, Baltimore Ravens, Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tennessee Titans. Okay, Drake Maye is 6-0. Matthew Stafford is 4-2. Everybody says that Matthew Stafford lost his MVP against the Falcons. All right, he threw 2-3 interceptions, lost the game, whatever the case may be. Again, Falcons could have made the playoffs. They just beat the Jets. Anyways, in those games, Drake Maye had more total yards, a higher completion percentage, more passing yards per game, more yards per attempt. He had the same amount of total touchdowns. Drake Maye had 3 less interceptions. Drake Maye had a higher QBR. So Drake Maye in those 6 games where they played the same opponents, because remember, they played 17 games. So out of the 6 common opponents that they played, he went undefeated. Matthew Stafford 4-2. Drake Maye had better stats. Just throwing that out there. All right. Number 2, Drake Maye leads the entire NFL in most total yards accounted of for his team. It's right around 74%. So the entire Patriots offense, out of the entire NFL, Drake Maye is accommodating for the most percentage of his yards of the entire team. So rushing, throwing, blocking, receiving, whatever the case may be, Drake Maye leads the entire NFL in percentage of total accumulated yards. All right. Is that a team thing? I guess you could say that. I don't want to discredit a 14-win team and say Drake May's not playing with nobody, but you look at past MVPs, like Derrick Henry almost rushed for fucking 2,000 yards last year, and Lamar still threw for 4,000, rushed for 1,000, put up 40 touchdowns. James Cook has put up over 1,000 yards the last 2 years. People still say Josh Allen not playing with nobody, but Josh Allen won MVP last year. James Cook still rushed for 1,000. Was the rushing leader this year. So we say stuff like that, like Drake May is accounting for most of his team yards. That's rushing, passing, touchdowns, all that. He's right around 74%. Another thing why I will give Drake May the MVP. Now, and I brought it up earlier, was the rushing yards and the rush stuff like that. We keep changing this narrative. Like, why is rushing yards and rushing touchdowns not being accumulated? And again, it's not much for Drake May, but it's way more than Stafford. We can't just wipe that under the rug for 1 year and just, he's rushed for so many yards this year. Like, which one is it? So, again, another one. My next one, why Drake May should win MVP. I'm just going to read off some stats. 71.9 completion percentage, basically 72. That is the 6th highest of all time in a season in the NFL. So, like, 1,000 NFL quarterbacks and played in the NFL. Out of all them seasons, Drake May has a top 6 completion percentage, right? Mind you, he's top 3 in yards per attempt. He's not throwing checkdowns. He's throwing it down the field still. Throwing it intermediate. Top 6 all time. He had a 113.5 passer rating. That is the 13th best all time. He had a 77.2 QBR. That is the 24th all time. And I'm talking about all time, since stats were even started. And he had 8.9 yards per attempt. That's the 36th best all time. That's crazy. That's insane, bro. This is year 2. He's 23 years old. He's a year older than me. Like, literally. Like, that's crazy. So, he ranked first this year in, like I said, yards per attempt, 8.9. Completion percentage, 72. Y'all want to go into EPA. EPA dropped back 0.25. Pass EPA 151.2. QBR, he led the league in. Passer rating, led the league in. Number 1 in all of those. And again, I said it earlier in the video, because Stafford had a better touchdown interception ratio in yards. That's it. And I'm talking about the stats. Now we can talk about the narratives. Yeah, I said with the narratives, strength of schedule. I already nipped that. It's over. I'm going to say it again. 2 teams could be in the playoffs today if you beat the New York Jets. The same team that doesn't have an interception. 3-win team. You beat the Jets, you're in the playoffs. Granted, the Patriots beat the Raiders, we had number 1 seed. But still, you beat the New York Jets, you're in the NFL playoffs, and you couldn't do it. So the strength of schedule goes out the window. They've played 6 common opponents. Drake May was undefeated. Matthew Stafford lost 2 games. He threw 6 interceptions in those games. He has 8 interceptions on the season. You see what I'm saying? So the strength of schedule don't mean nothing. Josh Allen had the 3rd easiest schedule in the league last year, and he won MVP. I'm just saying, like, nobody was bringing up strength of schedule last year. When did that matter? Like, you feel me? Like, and y'all say, it matters because Matthew Stafford's playing against these elite, over 500 teams, and Drake May is not. Again, it's good teams take care of business, right? Now, you say that the strength of schedule hurt Drake May at one point. If y'all want to bring up the easy strength of schedule, Drake May has sat out of 5 games. He sat out of the second half of the Jets game. Y'all say he stat pad against the Jets. He did all that in 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters. He sat out of the last 18 minutes of the Jets game. He sat out of the last quarter of the Dolphins game. They blew the Panthers out, the same team that Matthew Stafford lost to. Sat out of the 4th quarter of that game. Sat out of the Browns game. You see what I'm saying? So he was sitting out of games because he was smoking them. They were getting smoked. And in those games, he wasn't really doing much. Like, let me not say he wasn't doing much, but he wasn't passing touchdowns. He wasn't padding his stats. And we're going to talk about that later with the Matthew Stafford throwing it at the 1-yard line, whatever the case may be. So, again, like, there's been instances where Drake May have subbed out of games because their team was up. So, if you want to say that, then Drake May's been hurt by that because he can't put his stats up. So, Say stuff like that. Um, Again, since the 2013, every MVP of the NFL has been the first or second seed of their conference. Kind of lean towards that earlier. Stafford is the fifth seed. Drake May is the second seed. So the only narratives that I'm hearing that people are using against Drake May is, again, the strength of schedule. And then I'm hearing things like Drake May is gonna be in the league a long time. Give it to Stafford. Why the fuck are we giving sympathy MVPs out? I love Stafford. Like, don't get me wrong. If Stafford wins the MVP, I am not gonna sit up here and say Drake May's robbed for the exact reason I just named, which is crazy. I'm like, okay, Drake May's 23. He's gonna get one, right? Whether you like it or not, Drake May's gonna most likely win MVP this year, or most likely win MVP in his career. But we're not gonna just give it to Stafford because he's played longer. What sense do that make? What are we doing? Just because Stafford played longer, he deserves MVP. That don't even. Come on now. You know what I mean? Like I said, if Stafford won MVP, I'm not one of those fans that's gonna say, "Oh, Drake May got robbed." But we're changing the criteria a lot if Stafford won MVP. I'm just throwing that out there. Yeah. So it's tough. You know what I'm saying? We look at the seasons. How many quarterbacks led the NFL in yards per attempt and completion percentage? Joe Burrow did in 2021, Breeze in 2017, Tony Romo 2014, Brady 2007. You feel me? Drake made 2025. Like, historically, we're talking about the context of, teams and what they're doing. Drake May is putting up, he had a historic season, right? And I'm really liking what Stafford is doing. So now we're going to talk about Stafford a little bit more and what he's doing. So, obviously, led the league in passing yards, led the league in passing touchdowns. For the eye test and the casual fan, like, that's good. Like, that's really good. Like, I'm not trying to nitpick and sit up here and say what he's doing, what he did this year was not good. He had a good season. The 1 yard touchdown thing. All right, let me go ahead and I'm going to be completely unbiased when I say this. People say stat padding. Okay, like, to an extent, I agree, right? But if you're telling me, and mind you, he has the most 1 yard or less touchdowns in NFL history in a season. Obviously the Patriots hand the ball off. You feel me? So Drake May's not getting those pass touchdowns. But to be completely unbiased, if I'm going against the LA Rams and Puka Nacua is out there, I have a DB out there, and Puka Nacua makes a better play to me, or Devontae Adams makes a better play to my DB, I cannot be mad. So I cannot put 1 yard passing touchdowns because there's points, they're literal points to win a game. I cannot put that against Matthew Stafford. Right? As crazy as it sounds, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I can't put 1 yard touchdown. I can't put 0.5 yard touchdowns against Matthew Stafford. They're touchdowns. They're points. Your goal is to accumulate the most points you can to win a game. Cannot put that past him. So for Stafford to do that 13 times in a season is impressive. I don't want to say bad defense because he has, like, Puka Nacua, like, damn near top 5 receiver in the league, and Devontae Adams, who's a really good route runner. You can't be mad at it. No matter what yard the distance is. The goal is to accumulate points. If that's their good goal line offense, that's their good goal line offense. You can't be mad at it. So, like I said, with Stafford, another thing with Stafford, if you want to bring up the strength of schedule, he has played better opponents. He has looked good against, like a Seattle team or, other good teams that he's played against. So if you want to say that for your argument, your narrative, that's cool. And this is, again, Stafford coming off a back injury. Like, we didn't even know he's going to be able to play at the start of the season. Goes out there and he balls out. So, like I said, if Stafford wins MVP, I'm not one of those guys that are mad. But I wrote off these stats. I gave you all these narratives and reasons why, Drake May should be MVP. Every narrative that I just named in this video is the narrative that people are saying is why Drake May can't win MVP. And I'm nipping it all in the bud. You want to bring up the strength of schedule? I told you about the strength of schedule. I told you about it. We were a last seed. We were last place in the AFC East. We had a top 4 pick. And we had a last place schedule. We went 14-3 this year. Here's my thing. The schedule comes out in July or August. You seen the Patriots schedule. You read it. You examined it. You determined that we were not going to. Some of y'all seen our schedule and didn't even have us making the playoffs. Like, you seen when we played the Saints, Tennessee Titans, the Browns, the Panthers. Like, y'all seen us play all those teams and was like, I don't think anyone's going to make the playoffs. And now when we make the playoffs, they had an easy schedule. The schedule comes out in August. And y'all had Josh Allen, creeping up for MVP. Josh Allen also played an easy schedule. The whole AFC East played an easy schedule. So, just saying, let's just throw that out there. You want to say that? Like I said, Josh Allen had the third easiest schedule last year. 2022 Patrick Mahomes had the fourth easiest schedule in the league. Cam Newton in 2015, according to metrics, had a top 2 easiest schedule in the league. You know what I mean? So why do that become a factor? Strength of schedule. That's the main one, by the way. That's the main one I've heard. Next one, like I said, the touchdown to interception ratio. Drake may have sat out a lot of quarters because his team is up. He still accommodates for the most percentage of his team yards. So, that's rushing, passing, all that. So, like I said, these narratives, it's tough, man. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not one of those guys that's going to feed into, Stafford team is better, so Drake May is obviously more valuable to his team. Both of these guys are very valuable to their teams. Obviously, like I said, Drake May is probably more based off the metrics and the stats, but I can't take away from Stafford. Still valuable to his team. Like, he still could win MVP. So, yeah, like, the Rams roster is better than the Patriots. Don't get me wrong. Like, Drake May is probably doing more, but both of them are valuable. So, those are really the main points I wanted to touch on in terms of teams, Drake May being the MVP versus Matthew Stafford. I am not, and I'm going to say this again, I am not against if Matthew Stafford wins MVP. I'm not going to sit up here and be mad. But when you have a quarterback, 23 years old, that's like top 5 in most of these metrics outside of passing yards. He's top 5 in passing yards. But, I mean, like, one of the best quarterbacks under pressure, one of the best quarterbacks against the blitz. And here's the thing with strength of schedule. And again, I have to reiterate this again in this video because that's all people talk about. The strength of schedule is the entire overhaul of the roster. Drake May still went against a Cleveland Browns defense who is really good. Myles Garrett had 5 sacks against the New England Patriots. The strength of schedule is the overall haul of the roster. The reason why the Browns weren't good is because of their offense. They still had one of the best defenses in the league. Myles Garrett broke the sack record. He had 5 sacks on Drake May, and we still put up 30 points. That is a offensive problem for the Browns. The Falcons, one of the best defenses in the league, in my opinion. I think they're a top 10 unit. Still win against the Falcons. I think the Bills, the second half of the year, really good team. That's probably Drake May's worst game. I think he threw for like 140 yards. Still threw still rushed for 2 touchdowns. You see what I'm saying? Like, even in the game, the first game against the Bills, he didn't throw for no touchdowns. He didn't rush for no touchdowns. Still put on a great performance in the second half. I think he threw two incompletions, stiff arming people, throwing off platform throws. Like, you see what I'm saying? So if you want to go touchdown interception ratio, cool. But the strength of schedule thing, man, I can't rock with it, man. I can't rock with it. So I feel like I touched on every point. I probably missed on some more stats, but I really wanted to talk about the main narratives that people are using: strength of schedule, age, saying Stafford played longer. Like, whoop de fucking do. But shout out both of these guys. Both of these guys had amazing years. I want to see them in the Super Bowl, honestly. But yeah, shout out to Stafford. Shout out to Drake May. Obviously, both of these guys are very valuable to their teams. Either guy should win it. I'm just gonna give a quick recognize some other guys who had like really good years. Obviously, quarterback is the main MVP winners. Christian McCaffrey had a really good year. Myles Garrett broke the sack record, but his team just unfortunately didn't win enough games. But shout out to Myles Garrett, had one of the best seasons of all time defensively. People say, oh, he got in 17 games. He played way less snaps. So shout out to Myles Garrett. Yeah, it's a lot of good guys. I mean, Josh Allen had a lot of touchdowns. He's probably gonna be the third. Like when the nominees come out. Josh Allen had a little bit of rocky games in the middle, but still probably gonna be top 3 MVP candidate. Yeah, so there's a lot of good seasons. Jonathan Taylor started the year off really good. A lot of good JSN. A lot of good seasons, but to me, it comes down to Drake May and Matthew Stafford, and I feel like every point that's going against Drake May is debunked. in this video. That was the point. So if you guys got anything that y'all want to add on in the comments, maybe Rams fans have something else that y'all want to speak on or that y'all noticed and that y'all peeped, let me know. This is not a diss or a throwing shots at Matthew Stafford. I did bring up, he threw 6 interceptions. He lost 2 games against the teams that the Drake, Maye, and him played against. But at the end of the day, I respect Stafford. I have a lot of respect for Stafford. I had the Rams. Mind y'all, I had the Rams in August going to the Super Bowl. That's how much I have faith in Matthew Stafford and the Rams. And this is now that my team is in there, it's like, I don't know if I want to play the Rams. But I still think the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. So I have a lot of respect for Stafford. It's just he going against my quarterback in MVP voting, right? So I'm gonna rock with Drake Maye. And, that's my push and my narrative point base for him to win MVP. Shout out, New England had a great year. It's a really fun year to watch. I really don't care, how it ends. Well, let me not say that. Obviously, I want to win a Super Bowl, but it was really fun this year watching it, and I enjoyed it. And shout out Drake Maye for giving me one of the best seasons I've ever watched. And yes, I'm saying that as a Patriots fan. Like, I've watched Tom Brady, but in this day and age, like, let's keep it a buck, y'all. Tom Brady, like, for a young casual fan, I'm only 22 years old. Tom Brady was just coming out. He's not running the ball. He's not stiff arming people. Like, you feel me? Tom Brady is the GOAT. I love Tom Brady. So that's my franchise quarterback. But all you can do is appreciate the past and move on to the present. It's like having kids. It's like growing up with birthday gifts. You appreciate it now, right? But I'm 22 years old. What is that money that my auntie gave me when I was 8 gonna do for me now? I gotta move on. Love Brady, but I think Drake Maye gave me one of the funnest seasons that I've watched this year. So that's my MVP. Shout out to Stafford, shout out to New England, shout out to the rest of the team. But y'all leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.